All right. The stock review we're going to do this evening is going to be for PFMS, UNRG, LEAS, GOVX, FUTS, the old WTM or WMTM, and then ZMRK, and then IGPK. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on PFMS. Looking on back on the chart here for PFMS, we've been holding this 40 to 45 range pretty solid, and I was pretty excited this past week where we've actually been kind of holding a little bit higher. You know, our lows have been 36, 38, 39, and it's kind of bounced off. And then we hit 42, and now we've got this low from 40 here where we have not even broken that. But we do got a lot of good green volume coming in, and it's got this really good upturn even on the year chart. This thing is just looking beautiful. You know, obviously stair stepping really nicely, and we've got nothing but this green uptrend just pulling over the 39 being that hard pivot point. If filings do come this week, from what I can tell, we're right in the window that like I've been talking with some of the other guys, 3 to 4 weeks is kind of when Lazar drops his filings. He after the OTC markets have been updated. OTC markets got updated. Was it August 29th or something like that? I think it was. We're still waiting for the TA to update the share structure section here. But as far as the CEO area, that's all been added for Lazar right here. That was updated. I think it was August 29th. And looking at the calendar here, August 29th was a Thursday. That puts us as 3 weeks on the 19th. So between 3 and 4 weeks is kind of our window. So I wouldn't say between, you know, the 19th to the 27th is kind of our latest. I think he's done very, very few that ever have been, you know, I think up to 2 or 3 days later, maybe 5 days later. I think only 2 or 3 of his custodians have ever been that long. But probably 80% of them have been between this 3 week to 4 week stage. So that'll be our biggest thing that a lot of us are anticipating. Obviously, he does do them on weekends, it seems like, and obviously we hope it's this weekend. So tonight, I'm going to be watching my SOS filings to drop. Generally 10:30 between 10:30 and 11 p.m. is kind of when they drop. So I'm going to be checking those pretty hard this weekend. Hopefully they do drop tonight, but if not, it's nothing to worry about. It's just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if. They are going to drop. It's just a matter of when. So waiting on that from the 19th to the 26th is kind of that window. Obviously 23rd through 27th being this week is what we're probably going to be watching if we don't. And, you know, then it's going to be like, well, when are they falling? When are they dropping? But I don't see why they shouldn't drop in this week. It's been a long, long wait. I mean, I've been waiting for a couple months in this play ever since it was, you know, trip 7. So obviously the play has come a long way since I first got in it. Down here, kind of right here. Yeah, there's trip 9. So in this stage, it's come a long way as far as building this chart. And a lot of people are impatient. They want a quick flip. I understand. We're in it to make money. We're in it to, you know, flip our coin and get out of it, you know. And a lot of people have small accounts, so they type a lot of funds in one play or 2 plays or 3 plays, and then they're stuck in it, and they're seeing all these other plays running, and they're like, oh, well, I'm still waiting for this play to drop its filings. You know, I got to get out. And, you know, a lot of this has happened, I think, as far as making a lot of these ups or a lot of downs on this play, is where people just get tired of waiting. I mean, I understand that you don't have cash to play other running plays, so you're gonna want to end up selling out and try to get involved with something that's running. So, and then of course they want to get back in, and sometimes they can get back in too late when filings do drop. But obviously these areas of resistance we're going to be breaking is going to be that 47, 56, 66, 75, 85 and 94 is going to be the next pivot areas that I feel like we're going to break pretty quickly. Obviously, being 71, as we've hit it literally 3 times, once here, twice, once there, and once here, and obviously we hit it just for a smidgen there. But obviously that's going to be the first point, and once we break that out, which filings drop will no doubt break that out pretty quickly. You know, that'll get the all excitement up to just break back over here to 75 and continue. So, you know, we could see these penny moves. You know, after penny break comes in, people start getting interested. Due diligence starts kind of working out, like, you know, what kind of mergers could happen here. You're going to be reading through these filings, look for any little nitty gritty details on it. Hopefully, you know, we get some information as regards to them. But, you know, use that run when filings do drop to, you know, go ahead and take some profits. You know, take some of your position out. You know, you want to have the meat of this run go, but you don't obviously want to stack a bunch of your shares on the ask and stall the run. You're not wanting to scare, you know, and I want to say an average share size for a sale would probably be about 75 to 150,000 shares, kind of the max, you know. But if you stick 500 or a million on the ask, you know, it deters the desire for people to want to buy when it outweighs the bid, so to speak. So, you know, share small blocks in one section at a time, and, you know, let the run continue to do its thing. I think a lot of people are waiting till it breaks that penny before they start selling shares and taking profits. I mean, you know, you can ride free. You know, let half of your position out, let the other half ride free. You know, over time, these custodianship plays can bring a lot of profit because there is no downside after a while, because, you know, what's next is this merging company coming in. It's kind of like WMTM. That was a custodianship play by Rhonda, I think is what her name was, Rhonda. That'll be the next one we talk about here. Obviously known as FUTS now. I don't know why. It's just an awful name. But anyway, FUTS, FUTS, is the new ticker symbol for it. It's going to be going starting Monday. You know, I think there's a lot of shares being transferred over still and a lot of data organized. So we got to wait a little bit. And I think most brokers are going to probably pull that off probably by Monday before market open. I mean, it's pretty rare I've ever seen it go over that unless you're with a non, you know, familiar broker. I know Charles Schwab's, there was some traders I was hearing took over 2 weeks before they got their new, you know, shares to where they could even sell the position. So that's obviously a bad situation, but E-Trade, TD, kind of the faster brokers to, you know, get this done. Obviously, the stock is not really going to be trading much if brokers aren't got the shares yet. If it's stalled, you know, for TD and some of these other brokers, you know, this obviously is not going to trade very much volume at all on Monday. But it's obviously in a good position here. It did have a nice pullback off of this pop from this name change getting out and everybody get excited. I did alert it around this 3 range right here. I think it was. Yeah, right there. When I started seeing all the due diligence coming out on Twitter, it's like, okay, well, this is, they're really bringing something in. What do you know? A lot of excitement coming out all of a sudden right after that. We got in perfect timing in that low 3s, mid to low 3s, in order to make a solid 100% plus. So in this sense, it does got a good pullback here at 55, 54. It's the first pivot that's it kind of bounced right off of that. So obviously this is its old 52-week high at 549, 495. So I think we're going to hold over that for the most part. When this does change to the new ticker symbol, it's going to bring in new interested buyers, because a lot of interested buyers see a play running on volume. They have no clue. Oh, well, this used to be the old WMTM. It's kind of funny how new traders don't keep up with any of this. You know, they just think it's a new play hitting the scanner, you know, under FUTS. So we'll see how this does. It still should get a good pop, I think, and probably test back over 7s. It does have a share structure to provide a good 10, possibly, maybe more. You know, this is obviously emerging company. There's a reason they got this shell. There's a reason that they want this stock to do good for them. But it does have a good share structure for it. I'm not sure what the current unrestricted is. I don't believe they've dropped filings yet. But no, that'll be the next update to see is filings start to take place after this. So keep it on watch. It's going to be a continual play. Obviously, this is just running off that merger. A lot of people are still kind of shy. Oh, it's not current yet. Why are we playing it? So anyway, that'll be a process. Rhonda, the custodian, does not get her place current before the mergers. You know, that's where Lazar is different. Like PFMS, you know, he always gets his place current and fresh and cleaned up to where, you know, it's pink current. There's no stop sign. All the filings are up to date. And then he brings in a merger. You got obviously got other custodianships like, you know, Rhonda, and some of these other people that even our Carl sometimes doesn't do it, Joseph or Carl, to where they don't bring it up to current, and yet they've already got a merging entity that's going to buy the shell, and they're going to get it current. So obviously they're moving pretty fast on WMTM to have dropped that merger information doubt. And so, you know, obviously our expectations are going to be watching for those current filings to start dropping now that they've obviously been announced as merging. So something to keep a good eye on. That play should be strong once those filings start getting current out. It will not surprise me to be well over 10. It could be 15 by the time filings are really out, and it's got a lot of people's interested, and they see what kind of revenue this company is going to be bringing, etc. So other play is UNRG. There's actually some excitement coming out this weekend, I've been noticing, for UNRG about a cannabis real estate. It's more of a real estate stock instead of a cannabis stock to some degree. Obviously, we've, you know, hit a massive run here from the very beginning of these pennies and 3 cents. And of course, I know a lot of people kind of chasing. They got stuck up here a little bit in the higher end of it and have kind of averaged down and like, well, when's the bottom? When's the bottom? I'm pretty solid, you know, pretty certain that we've hit the bottom. We hit 865 here, 970, 965. And that kind of seemed like our bottom. Obviously, it seems to be reversing. We'll pull up the year chart here. Actually, just pull up the 6 month. That's probably going to be a little more accurate on this one here. Here we go. And we obviously hit this bottom right here. We've obviously popped up a little bit and come down here. But as far as I know, everything looks good on it to reverse from this area. 12.7 is obviously our next pivot, and 9.4 is the other one. It's closed over 13 2 days in a row. So I feel pretty good on this day. Let's see. I think that was a Thursday. Yeah, the 19th was a Thursday. Closed right. It closed over I think it was 13.1, and then obviously we're closed at 13.49. So it wasn't much green Friday, but it was a little bit. It did spike up and hit 16. That's going to be our first point of breaking. Our resistance is going to be 16, and then obviously climb from that. I feel pretty strong. We're probably going to hit that tomorrow and break that, and that'll be our new support zone. Is going to be 16, 15.9. Be specific. But we break that, we should be able to bounce from that, between that and 20. Yeah, that and 19 to 20, I want to say. So yeah, 19.2 is a specific spot. So I think we'll break over that 15.9, and then we'll be fighting between 15.9 and 19.2 as the custodianship hearing comes on 10.04. 10.04 is going to be right here. So literally 2 weeks or 14, let's see, 10 trading days, I guess. So, you know, look out for them. Everything points to UNRG getting granted because the old CEO is literally a ghost. He's dead. You know, everything's completely dark on it. Let me pull up some of the information I found on it tonight. Another screen here. Yeah, from what I could tell, um, it seems a bit more into the real estate side of marijuana instead of the actual distribution side of production and distribution side of it. So with that being said, that could add a whole new era to it because people are buying into companies that have do produce and distribute, and it makes tons and tons of money. While this could be, more or less the stock or the fund for Dasani to actually bring in real estate properties for these companies into this. So another one to play. I feel very strong about, or definitely, I would have no doubt after custodianship granted, or even on its way up there, we break that 19. We got 22, 25, and 28 as our next area of supports. Or resistance points to break these. After it broke that from here, it hit 39 in literally 5 minutes. I still think we still got some institutional buying in there because there's some massive shares in there buying. Also Friday there was 167,000 share bid that showed up all of a sudden for a brief moment there for a while. So there's some games being played with it a little bit right now, but I think all the selling is done. Hopefully the shorts are kind of done with it because they paint it down every time it spikes up, with a whack. They paint it down with a small amount of shares on the bid to kind of induce or entice selling. That's just their way of doing it, so they can kind of fill or cover their short positions on the cheap. That's how they're going to make their money. Next one is LEAS. LEAS. That's the wrong LEAS. A lot of history with this play in the past. We've played this thing once before, obviously on this run right here. And we're actually down here, which is a good thing. We're not up here chasing. This play ran from 0003, 0004, and up. When I first caught this back, was it January? Yeah. January and February, I got in at 0004. This was a good money-making play for a lot of people. They dropped some tweets about a merging entity that they were involved with, like some exotic rental car company or something, that they were going to be merging in, and they had estimated what was it, 5 million or 50 million in revenue and 10 million something in extra assets or something. So obviously that Twitter account, it was run by a very amateur person, I feel like. But he led on a lot of people on the story, and kept tweeting, kept messaging back with all these interested people. But this play ran from 0004 during this process through all the way to 00, 39s and 40s here. Okay, it was a lot of speculation, a lot of Twitters, and all of a sudden, this was the tweet that changed it all. It was right here on March 4th. Where they actually dropped the numbers, the tweet about the numbers actually coming in, the 50 million and 10 million in assets expected merger, and that spiked literally from 0030 all the way to almost a penny on that one day, March 4th. Yeah, right here, March 4th. And March 5th, that starts a massive selling off. Zalmi was in this play. There was a lot of different people in this play that had a very massive amount of shares from down here in trips because, a lot of us held on to it. We felt pretty confident in the story, and it was giving continued growth. It was an easy trade. There was nothing bad about it. Everything looked good. It traded between this 27 to 40s and 27s to 30s constantly. It was doing very well. And a lot of these people from trips were still holding their shares. During these high points, obviously, a lot of sell volume came in and a lot of people took profits. It crashed all the way back down here to as low as 0014 in 20s and then bounced back up to 30s. And this is when a whole nother group of people decided, oh, the merger is just late. It hasn't come out. This was all from a tweet. This whole move right here, all from a tweet. And a lot of people were waiting and still waiting, and nothing to show for it has come out yet. No filings, no anything. The stock wasn't paying current, nothing to do with that sort. and traded sideways forever. It seemed like in the slow 30s, 20s, and 30s area, and it was a whole new group of bag holders, literally. Okay, they bought right here. They bought in the 60s, 70s, 50s, and literally had averaged down and were kind of holding in this area in the 30s and 20s. Over 100% of their portfolio gone in that sense. Waiting because they announced this merger and they were too late for the run, or they bought high, they chased. They did get early down here in the trips, like we were trying to get in. When we first got in, I bought down here because of volume, and that's generally the first sign of something coming. So is when you start seeing a lot of load volume, so to speak, come in. So anyway, I had a little information come out to me. What was it? Wednesday? I think it was Wednesday. About that they had finally, from March, have completed this merger. Obviously, it dropped all the way back down here to trip 4s and 5s and 6s again. Very low playing field here. And, we're sitting back here at what, 10, 11 right now. It hit 14 Friday. There's still a lot of bag holders in this play. I mean, I don't know how many people still got a bunch of shares holding this thing, or have literally just, you see all this sell volume. There's a ton of sell volume between here and here, just, tons. So a lot of it, actually reading some of the tweets that I've been seeing, is like, man, I sold at 5s. I can't believe they're running this pump and dump again and all this. And, that's kind of the way OTC is. A lot of it is pump and dump between catalysts. It's it's the nature of the beast. So in this sense, I got in at 7 and 8. My average is kind of at 9, I believe, right now, because it was hard to get more shares, 0009. So I'm going to see how this plays out this week. I feel pretty good about it. According to my source, the merger has actually completed, and they're just waiting to drop the 8K now. There is no Twitter account spreading a rumor story like it did this first entire drive. It's actually a legitimate thing completed, and the filing's ready to drop supposedly this next week. So, obviously it was a very wrong approach to entice and create a story that this is all going to happen soon to make this massive pop, and obviously leave a lot of bag holders, a lot of upset people, a lot of lost money, a lot of lost accounts, obviously because they chased. And that's why we've got to be in early for these runs, grab your gains, and play between the catalysts, because, you're looking from March all the way to September now. So we'll see how it does this week. If we can hit back to these high numbers, obviously you see the float can easily do it. So, it would not surprise me to see back in the 30s pretty quickly, and we're sitting at 0011. Especially if that 8K drops, I think we'll be seeing the 0020s and 30s fairly quickly, because it traded sideways forever on this area as well. And of course, if we start breaking upper 0030s, then it'll probably thin out a lot in order to ever pull off these numbers. And ultimately it comes down to what are the revenues of the merger that is actually coming in. That's going to be the big numbers thing. And then obviously the due diligence guys will drop their due diligence articles on this and that, further commence the hype. We're not playing the story, we're playing the trade. We're not investors, we're traders. Okay, so we want to get lows, want to scale out on the way up, get free shares, let free shares do the work for you, according to who wants to hype it, who wants to feed off the story, who wants to buy it late, chase it, however it is. I don't like LEAS personally as a play because of all the history that it pulled with it. There was a ton of drama on the downside of this play that created this massive bunch of angry people. So there's a lot of people on the fence still. Obviously, they're not going to want to buy into it till they see proof, a hard article. I don't blame you. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people can wait for the 8K and then further get into the play and hopefully make good money on it. Okay, our next play, GOVX. There's a lot of buzz floating around that play. That play used to be $16, I believe. Obviously, it had a reverse split, so these numbers aren't necessarily accurate at all. But you know, this play was way out up there. It reverse splitted. I'm not sure on the price they reverse splitted, but it's hard to say. I'm not sure. I was not playing this before the reverse split. It changes the whole chart articles on it to reflect back on. But it did make the float literally like 500K ish, I think, after the split. And it bounced quickly from threes here to eights. And then it's been nothing but dilution. I mean, you look at these volume bars right here. What does that tell you? Low volume bars, big downtrends create, you know, obvious dilution. Then what do you know? You got this big, massive volume right here. Obviously shows that the faucet is kind of turned off. But when you see big movements downwards or upwards, obviously faucet was off here for a moment. But a lot of selling. You know, obviously this big mass here was a ton of dilution, which is selling shares, not creating volume in a sense. It's dilution volume. It's not actual retail volume is what your bars are going to show you. So obviously in this sense, we'll see how this play does. Obviously it looked like they turned off the faucet Friday. There's a lot of volume that came in here Friday and has created this reversal from 0091. They just, you know, diluted it all the way to a freaking penny. It was making new 52-week lows. They did drop news the other day, so let's take a look here real quick. Leveraging geovaccines expertise to take on cancer. This was September 9th, which was 2 weeks ago. You know, they dropped some news. They need some volume probably for the dilution. It's hard to say. But shows that they got more information in their 10K. They have not dropped their 10K yet. Let's see, when do they drop their 10K? Oh, they don't drop it till next year. March 26th. They've all dropped it this year. But anyway, it's a play to watch. There is some interest in it. It's kind of where you follow the money. Try to be early in the plays and notice it. Don't believe the story that goes with it. Just play the momentum of it. Obviously, that penny mark seemed to be the stopping point for dilution. And obviously, when they quit selling shares, retail can actually take over, and it's retail trading shares anymore. We stopped here at a penny 32 for the day. It does still have a tiny float. It's not gonna reflect the dilution, obviously. But actually, this is after we've got 15 million here now. I wonder what we're actually at now, though. Just depends how much they've diluted. They obviously got a huge bunch of room here. They got 600 million shares they can dilute to, but there's only 26 million that is diluted. This could be increased. So we'll have to see. 918 is last update, which could be accurate, maybe. It could be accurate. It just depends if they turn the faucet. Yeah, they probably turned the faucet off on the 18th. That's what made the move back up. So if you want to look at it this way, there could be this float instead of 15 million could be maybe 20 million, roughly around there. Still a small float for a penny play. You know, I've seen 20 million share floats go well over 10 cents before, and we're sitting at a penny here. As long as they do not dilute anymore, maybe you guys might be fine on that one. So in that sense, I'd be watching it pretty closely. 20 mil float would not surprise me to see. With news, it's a QB listed stock. They obviously had to quit diluting because they are a QB listed stock. They, you know, can't fall below that penny mark, or they get, they get some threatening letters from OTC markets. Hey, you know, you've got 30 days in order to get your stock back over a penny, or we're going to have to delist you. So obviously that had to halt the dilution process here at the 0091.96 at that penny mark pretty much. So they have to return. But if let's just say if this goes to 2 cents or 3 cents and they start turning on the faucet again, then get out. You know, make sure you're out of it. Don't ride it back down to a penny. They may bounce it between a penny and, you know, 3 cents, or they may bounce it between a penny and a half and 3 cents or however it is. But just watch it carefully. Got to watch level 2 very closely. I've been doing a lot of that lately because of so many different plays diluting. So keep your eyes peeled on level 2. Maxim, obviously the most common diluter. Maxim has been on this one too, as a matter of fact. What's the other one? OTCX. These diluting market makers do work retail. So it's not, they don't always just dilute, but just see how it trades in order to kind of judge best judgment off of it. So yeah, good positive for that play potentially, as long as they keep that faucet off. The next play is ZMRK. They dropped a lot of filings. I've been in this play forever. We first started this play around, was it 0030s? Back in March of this year. Yeah, right in here. January. I got in about the 0030s and 40s. I think it was right here in February. But ever since, I've been on free shares. I want to say I sold half of my free shares up in here. Yeah, back in April. And I'm still on the half of my free shares. So I'll take profits on that, so to speak. But obviously we did hit 4 here. We've hit 5 here as well. But I've been waiting for filings to anticipate another selling of the rest of my shares. I do have quite a few. But this play right here, it's been a good one. XU is the guy that's been behind it as a merger for his Aeropon leaf, supposedly. But anyway, as you see here, filings have not dropped since 2017. There's no SEC filings. It's not an SEC filing stock. But as you see here, all of a sudden, 9/20, they dropped all these quarterly filings. And you go through these, you go through here, and obviously you want to see what the float is. And as of June 30, 2019, the float is 122 mil. Back in February, I don't know if that information was accurate then or not. Yeah, see, this information was obvious, may have not been accurate. Maybe it was, I don't know. But everybody was assuming it was only a 30 mil float. 122 mil float is not terrible. It's not what a lot of people were expecting probably. But it's still with, this potential merger. There's a ton of people that are still holding shares long in this play. So this float is pretty locked pretty well. So I expect we're going to see some movement tomorrow off the filings finally showing up in order to get ZMRK to pink current off the stop sign. Obviously after filings, yeah, it looks like they got everything. All the 2017s, 2018s, and the 2019s. So yeah, after that, it's going to be an attorney letter in respect to OTC markets to become pink current. So something to watch tomorrow's a good play to probably scalp, get in, however you want to play it. But I feel pretty good about it tomorrow. We did hit lows of 3 cents right here. We're sitting literally right at 4 cents. Off those filings, I'd expect to probably jump over the 5 cent mark here, which literally is our 52-week high, I believe, on the play. It's 0.055. Obviously, our next pivots are going to be, you're going to be looking for 6, 63, 65, and 7s if it can really pull off those high of numbers. But the first point, if you're in it, first point is looking to see how well it's going to break the 0.55. After that, it's blue skies, okay? It's all about determining how the level 2 strength is looking like, how buyers and sells are looking as far as, the strength of the stock. Attorney letter is a good catalyst too, so that's the next catalyst that is coming in order to push it off, and obviously pink current, and then probably XU might be doing his merger. And of course, that'll bring on a whole new phase of buyers. But on that float, it's not surprising with 122 mil, 5 cents, 7 cents, that's getting on up there, I feel like, on that float. But with volume coming in and a lot of people holding long this play, this float is probably less than 100 mil. It's probably more like a 50 mil or so with everybody holding shares that they are. So just see how it plays, do your best judgment on it, but I think we got a solid play on that one tomorrow. Our next one is IGPK. A lot of us have been in and out of this one. A lot of patience on this one in a sense, because I knew when I first got into this play that they were working on getting a QB uplisting. That caught my interest because we were at the bottom edge of this play. As you see, we were sitting at 2.5 cents in March. Well over that penny range. And it's come down all the way down to literally, we're sitting at subs, double 0.20s. We first got in it here, I think in September 4th, where it was double 0.29s, 27, somewhere around there, low 30s. And it made its high of 50s here twice. Because there was like a 20 or 10, 15 million something bid down there, 27s, and I have not seen it reappear. But it's kind of let this play kind of fall back. Some people think it's dilution. I guess some of it could be some of the notes converting. They had some preferred shares that they were converting from what I gathered. So I think it's kind of hit the bottom. It's got to hit the bottom. This is 19. Maybe we've hit 14 here in August, twice, 16. And that's been the lowest ever since, to where we're hitting 19 and 20 right now. They dropped a tweet right here also on Friday, right after close, which kind of clarified the whole reason why I bought in the beginning. Recently made a filing with the state of Nevada to amend and restate its preferred. This was done to allow the company to issue more than one class preferred, which is needed for some of the closings it's working on, outlined in the last quarterly report filed on OTC and other deals. Comments on that? Does this mean more dilution in the market? My main question is, will this be available to us shareholders? When I took over the company, all the preferred was locked in one class. I structured deals with the company based on future events, giving the market time factors of what's going on. I need other classes of preferred that can be used instead of commons, allows for less shares overall. Reverse split. A company doing a reverse split files amended and restated in the articles of the company that make reference to the RS. IGPK only amended the preferred. The company's not planning on anything outside of building the company as a cannabis space and CBD, and we'll write OTC QB in the plans. That would be the first leg. We were thinking bigger. And then obviously they dropped another tweet later that day in the after hours. We will be ready to make an application to upgrade to the OTC QB in October, this next month. Since the company will have a 2-year audit, all it will need is to add a few new directors and establish an audit committee. So obviously some officers coming in. That's going to grab some hype right there. New officers. QB file or QB certified upgraded application could drop. That's another catalyst that will get momentum going. And establish audit committee. All components needed for the S1 registration, and obviously a price per share of 1 penny for 30 days. So that'll be the big step, obviously, to get to a penny. Being down here at double 0.20 obviously seems like a no-brainer. Obviously, to go from there to a penny, you're looking at what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, what, 400% gains. That's a big lot of money. You stick $5,000 in that dollars in there, you go 4 times that, you've turned your 5,000 into 20 grand just by riding this thing from a 20 to a penny. If they're going to do this domestically without a reverse split, then of course more questions are going to be asked. How do you plan on getting it over a penny? By giving shareholders, both new and old, a reason to buy and hold the company. Of course, there's obviously going to be a lot of hope that goes with this. Obviously, someone wants to put in a bashing comment. Looks like a 1 in 1,000 reverse split on the horizon. We'll see what happens. In order to get over a penny, obviously, reverse split is the quickest way. I don't think they're going to do a reverse split. The last email that I got from them, they claimed that they were not going to do reverse splits. You know, you got to trust these CEOs. You got to trust these companies with a grain of salt. You can't trust them completely, 100%. They're not always going to be, you know, the greatest things in the world. You can't believe the story. You can't believe in the company. You're not investing in the company. You're not some dude who's putting all his money into just whatever they do as a living, as a company. You're trading with stock. You want to be in and out between these catalysts. And obviously, this tweet will no doubt probably get a little pop for tomorrow. Alone, just the tweet alone could give it a pop. Obviously, when OTC certification letter drops, that could give it a pop. And also, new directors being announced for the company would obviously bring another form of a pop as well. So, you know, you ride it up tomorrow on Twitter's pop. You can sell some positions if you like, then wait for it to kind of drop on down. If they're quick, then obviously it's not going to drop down much at all. But if they're not quick, if they're taking their time about dropping the next catalyst, which could be the OTC QB letter, as far as the application for it, then, you know, that'll obviously bring another pop. So that's how you play OTC. It's going to be rinse and repeat constantly between these pops to make your money. Buy the lows and sell the highs. You know, you can't be buying the lows and holding on the highs, and it comes back down to the lows, and you buy more, and you haven't sold the first round. You know, you're trying to make money on your money, not, you know, have to work for your money to try to make your money. You have to have your money work for you and have the smart brains behind it. That covers pretty much all the stocks I had in mind as far as reviewing today. Obviously, there's a couple other tickers to watch this next week: RVBR, STTH, RAKR, FRMC, GOGR, IFLM, NIHK. That's another custodian play. TRDX, UGDM, MXNG, HDII, some of the other plays that have been kind of popping up in my feeds that seem interesting. NIHK, though, I do have a position in that one as a custodian. I'm going to review that real quick. This play has been building beautifully, okay? The custodianship petition for the hearing started right here on September 10th. Obviously created this pop from 0030s to a high of 80. And I grabbed a position down here. Doubles, I got some at 50 and 51, but I started position at 60, mid 60s as well. After it ran, because, you know, I'm not going to chase. You know, it came out too quick for me to get a position. It hit a penny, just over a penny, was literally no problem at all. We're sitting at, you know, almost half a penny. So not much volume. It's getting custodianship hearing on 10/15, I believe, October 15th. So still some time to, you know, grab some of these cheap. I notice there is a lot of loading trying to happen in the mid 60s right now. I want to say there's close to 1 million plus on the bids below 65. And there's very, very little on the ask. There's really like 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 shares kind of show up on the ask in the 70s. No one's tapped it yet. So they're waiting for those people just to kind of dump out that have either chased up here or got in early and have, you know, ready to kind of lose their shares and not wait on it. It has a tiny share structure. I don't believe it's up to date right now. It is a CE play, so it's got some things to work out after custodianship granted. But yeah, as of 2018, it had 137 million OS. It trades literally like probably, I don't know, it trades like a 15 million or less float, I want to say, which is tiny because it hit a penny literally out of no problem at all from not much volume. It hit that penny like lickety split. But I want to say that float has got to be 15 million, 10 million or less. It's a small float, obviously, and it's so hard for shares to fill right now in the mid 60s. But if you don't mind getting a position mid 60s, you're pretty golden there for the most part. It hit 50s just after the last of the dumps hit. But 60 to 69 has been the trading sideways trend here for the most part, I've been noticing. So position in that one's not a bad one if you don't mind holding, because I'm assuming it's going to start building back up here as shares become fewer and fewer available. We've obviously got some time till 10:15, which will be right here. We've got 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks. Yeah, or 4 weeks. So you got some time. We got quite a bit of time, but I think as time goes on, it's going to be a lot of people holding in that play. But anyway, I'm holding it. It's good custodianship play. It seems well. Obviously, some of these CE plays, Cavet Amtor plays as we call them, or CE plays, can bring on a lot of hype when they do get granted. Because obviously they got huge steps to pull off. They got this to pull off. They got filings to drop. It does have a Form 15, so it's safe from suspensions, which is the biggest red flag going into custodianship plays, because the SEC loves to suspend in a custodianship play. So it's safe on that. But yeah, as you see here, it became a CE because of a pump and dump method back a couple years back, I believe, from OTC markets. It has not updated filings since 2008, 2009, so it's very, very in the dark. But it will obviously come back with this new custodianship process. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for this evening. I'll open the mic for questions here. And let's have a killer week this next week.